2010. The desert is hot, dusty, and dangerous. 19-year-old Glenn Hockton is several weeks into a 7-month tour of duty with the Coldstream Guards in Afghanistan. His main duties are patrolling the dusty terrain and loading mortars. Glenn's platoon is stationed in the Helmand province in the southwestern part of the country, a region notorious for being a Taliban stronghold and also for producing the world's largest supply of opium. One day, Glenn is on patrol when he feels something brush against his back. The rosary beads he's wearing around his neck slip off. He tries to catch the beads, but they fall to the ground. Glenn bends down to pick them up and sees a strip of metal poking out of the dirt at his feet. He carefully brushes away some of the dust, revealing more metal and wiring. His heart skips a beat. His worst fears have come true. An IED, or improvised explosive device, is buried in the ground inches from his feet. One more step and he's likely to be maimed or killed. Glenn slowly rises until he's upright and calls for help. For 45 terrifying minutes, he stays in the same position, sweat trickling down his back, while his fellow soldiers work to defuse the explosive. Thankfully, they're able to do so, and the entire patrol returns to base safely. Glenn is not a religious person. He brought the rosary to Afghanistan because of a story his family had told him about his great-grandfather. Incredibly, the exact same rosary had now saved 2 generations of his family. Over 65 years ago, Glenn's great-grandfather Joseph Sonny Truman fought in World War II, serving with the Royal Regiment of Fusiliers. Sonny was captured by the Nazis and held as a POW. As the Nazis retreated after losing battles, they forced the POWs on long marches to keep them away from the advancing Allied forces. On one such march, Sonny caught a glimpse of something glinting in the dirt as he trudged through a field. Curious, he bent down to pick it up. Just then, a shell exploded right in front of Sonny, missing him by millimeters. Unfortunately, 6 of his comrades were instantaneously killed by the blast. If Sonny had been standing up, he would have died too. The object Sonny stopped to pick up? A rosary. This isn't the first time a religious object has miraculously saved a soldier. Several soldiers have been saved by Bibles. In 1862, during the U.S. Civil War, Private Richard R. Best of the North Carolina Infantry fought in the Battle of Antietam at Sharpsburg, Maryland. During a ferocious skirmish, a Bible Private Best had in his pocket stopped a bullet to his chest, preventing a fatal wound. That Bible is on display at the National Museum of the Civil War Soldier at Pamplin Historical Park in Petersburg, Virginia. In July of 1915, 17-year-old British soldier Leonard Knight was given a pocket Bible by his aunt Minnie Yates before he headed off to World War I. 2 years later, Leonard was saved from a likely fatal gunshot wound when a German bullet hit the Bible, which was in his uniform breast pocket. The bullet penetrated the hard front cover and embedded itself about 50 pages from the end of the book. The Bible's now a treasured memento of Aunt Minnie's great-great-grandchildren. In 1916, 21-year-old British soldier Private Frank Viner was stationed at the Western Front in France. During the Battle of Somme, he hunkered down in the trenches. He always kept his Bible in his right-hand breast pocket, but one day he had an odd feeling and moved his Bible to his left-hand pocket. Psalm 91 came to his mind. 1,000 may fall at your side, 10,000 at your right hand, but you will not be harmed. Soon afterwards, there was an enormous explosion when a shell hit the trench. Several men were killed on impact. Frank was blown off his feet. He ended up on the ground bruised, his uniform torn, his helmet blown off, and his head ringing, but very much alive. Embedded in his Bible was a huge piece of shrapnel. It had ripped the book from cover to cover. If Frank hadn't been carrying his Bible and hadn't moved it to his left breast pocket, he surely would have died. Was there divine protection at work in these incidents? Some would say yes, but then again, soldiers have been saved from certain death by many random items. During World War I, Optadius Bouwsens served in the Belgian army. On September 26, 1914, he was on a scouting mission near Lebbeke, Belgium, when he ran into trouble. What happened next makes for amazing family lore. Optadius was spotted by a German soldier. The soldier had shot him in the chest and Optadius fell to the ground. The German kicked him in the head, possibly checking to see if Optadius was still alive. He was smart, he played dead. Later, after the Germans had moved on, Optadius and a wounded comrade were able to crawl away to safety. But how did Optadius survive? 6 coins. He had 3 Belgian francs and 3 French francs in his breast pocket. When the German soldier fired, the bullet ricocheted off the coins, saving Optadius' life. Ironically, it was the clink of the coins that alerted the German soldier and gave away Optadius' position in the first place. Another World War I soldier's life was saved due to a different ordinary item. 22-year-old Corporal Walter Davis joined the 9th Battalion North Staffordshire Regiment in 1915. Immediately, he was sent to the Western Front in France and fought German forces during the Battle of Somme. One day, while hunkered down in the trenches, his platoon came under heavy fire. A bullet shot at Corporal Davis's chest was stopped by his 2-inch silver pocket watch. The pocket watch, the bullet that hit it, and Corporal Davis's small book diary issued by the British Army to servicemen is a unique set of keepsakes that his family treasures. More recently, in 2014, Staff Sergeant Sean Frank was on his second tour of duty in Afghanistan when an unlikely item saved his life. One day, he was on patrol when his team stopped to help another unit whose vehicle had rolled over. A teenage suicide bomber approached them and, before anyone could do anything, detonated a bomb filled with metal ball bearings. Frank received several wounds all over his body, including on his legs, arms, and thumb. Just about the only area on James that wasn't hit was his left front pocket of his pants, where he kept his iPhone 5. Several bits of shrapnel hit the phone, including a larger piece which shattered the screen and left an exit hole in the phone's aluminum back. Ultimately, the phone protected major arteries in Sean's thigh from being hit. Sean had wanted to keep the phone as a memento, but at first Apple wouldn't honor his insurance agreement for a new phone unless he turned in the old one. Once the public got wind of the amazing circumstances, they lobbied Apple on Sean's behalf, and he was allowed to keep his old phone and still receive a new one. So it seems like maybe common objects, including religious objects soldiers carry, are likely to be involved with amazing random occurrences where they might save a soldier's life. However, Frank Vittner randomly switched which pocket he carried his Bible in because of a feeling, and then was reminded of a very specific Bible verse. Glenn Hockton swears something brushed or pushed against him, causing the rosary to slip from his neck. He felt like his great-granddad is a guardian angel looking down and protecting him. Who's to say when a miracle occurs? And now that you reached the end of our video, why not keep the watch party going? Ever heard of Desmond Doss? He was a heroic World War II soldier who saved soldier comrades without firing a single shot. Check out his amazing stories here. Ever wondered if there are specific tactics soldiers use to survive when captured as a POW by enemy forces? Check out our video on how to survive as a POW here.